Welcome to how to create an elegant textured metal effect in Adobe Photoshop. I'm Jonathan Lamb, a digital artist with over 10 years of experience, and in this video we'll take you through step by step on how to create this stunning text effect using simple tricks and layer styles to make your text look shiny and metallic. So before we begin, make sure to check out Envato Elements. Get unlimited downloads of design assets, templates, and fonts with Envato Elements. That's millions of creative assets all ready to use and with simple commercial licensing. Plus, no lock-in contract means you can cancel at any time. Subscribe now with the link in the description. So let's start by going over what assets we need to complete the tutorial. You'll find links to all the assets you need to follow along in the description. First, we need the Spinword C bold font, a paper texture from Envato Elements, a tile texture, some Photoshop gradients, and finally a photograph of a skyline. Also, remember to check the description for a link to the written tutorial on the Tuts Plus website. Here you'll find the exact step-by-step settings to follow along with the project. So let's get started in Adobe Photoshop by creating a 1024 by 1024 pixel document here. And we want to create a background. So double click on the background layer. Just going to call this BG for background. And then double click on it again to see the layer style options. And then we're going to click on gradient overlay. Make sure that the style is set to radial, opacity at 100, and blend mode set to normal. And we want to go ahead and choose the gradient colors for our background. So you can see the first one here is set to 70, 70, 7D. And then the dark color here is set to 43, 43, 43. Click OK once you've done your background. And then next here, we want to click and drag one of our paper textures into our project like so. And then once we've done that, go ahead and set the paper texture here to multiply like so. And then once we've done that, we want to select both of our layers here, right click and duplicate these layers like so. And then once you've done that, go ahead and right click on these layers again and merge them. Once you've gone ahead and merged them, let's go ahead and change the blend mode here from normal to overlay, and then set the opacity here to about 80%. And then we can rename this layer overlay, like so. Excellent. Now this will set our background layer with a nice sort of paper texture to it. The next thing we want to do now is to add the text. So go ahead and click on the text button here, click on your project here, and let's go ahead and type in some text like so. And then we want to make sure that the color of our text is set to 454646 like that. And then we want to go ahead and put that in the middle of our project. Now we want to duplicate this layer here. And then from here, we want to set the duplicate text layer fill to 0%. Double click on the original text layer here. And we want to add a simple drop shadow effect, like so. Now let's go ahead and change some of the values here. So the opacity will be set at 75. The distance will be set at 35. And the size will be set at 50. Once you're happy with the way that your shadow looks here, go ahead and click on the OK button. And this will apply a shadow to this bottom text layer. Next, let's go ahead and select our copy text layer. Double click on that. And let's add the following. So let's add a bevel and emboss here. So for the style, we want to make sure that it's set to inner bevel with a smooth technique, a depth of 100%, a direction which is up, The size will be 10 pixels with a soften at 0 pixels. The angle should be set at -169 with an altitude of 64. We want to disable the use of global light here. Check the anti-aliased box and then make sure the opacity of the shadow and highlight are both set to 75. And we want the highlight mode to be set to vivid light and the shadow mode to be set to multiply. For the contour here, we just want to check the anti-aliased box here. For the texture, we want to go ahead and select the texture that we have downloaded. Click OK. Now, in order to select the texture that we downloaded, all you have to do is open up the texture, use the marquee tool, select it all, go to Edit, and then we want to select Define Pattern, and then save the pattern name, like so. And then you should be able to select it for our texture here. Excellent. Now, once you've done that, we want to go ahead and add a stroke to our layer here. So let's go ahead and click on stroke. We want the stroke size to be 1 pixels, positioned on the outside. The blend mode will be set to normal, the opacity at 100%, and the fill type we want to set it to gradient. And then we're going to use one of the gradients that we have downloaded. So the gradient that we'll be using for this one will be inside the R5 or the RS Chrome folder. And we want to use Chrome Bar 135. Now, if you can't see the name, just click on this cogwheel here, select text only, and then you should be able to find Chrome Bar 135 from the list here, like so. Click OK. And then we want to check Align with Layer with the style reflected, the angle at 45 degrees, and a scale of 100%. Next, let's add an inner glow here, making sure that the blend mode is set to overlay, opacity at 75, with a color of F6, F6, F6. And then once we've done that, we also want to make sure that the size is set to 10 pixels. Then we want a gradient overlay here. And for the gradient overlay, we want the blend mode to be set to soft light, an opacity of 35%. The style is going to be reflected with an angle of 45 degrees. Check the reverse box here. And we want to use the Stovepipe 10 gradient. So again, go to RS Chrome and scroll all the way down to Stovepipe 10 and then click OK. Next, we want to add a drop shadow. And for the drop shadow, we want to set the opacity to 62% with a distance of 8 and a size of 8. And then click OK. Excellent. So now that we've got our text all done and ready, the next thing we want to do is we want to add a sort of texture to our text. So go ahead and click and drag your photograph into our project. Let's size this up a little bit, like so. And then from there, all we want to do is we want to go to Filter, Blur, choose Gaussian Blur, and we want to set the radius to 1.5. Once you've done that, go to the blend mode here, select overlay, and then we want to lower the opacity to 20%. Then we want to move our text or our picture over our text into a nice shape. So let's move this to somewhere like this. And then once you're happy with the way that it looks, go ahead and control click on the text layer here. And then with your photograph selected, go ahead and click on the Add Layer Mask button on the bottom here. Excellent. Now let's go ahead and add some flares to our project. So selecting the brush tool here, we want to go to the brush options. Make sure that our color is set to EB. And then in the brush tip shape options here, we want to set the size to 35 pixels. And we want to set the angle to 0 and the roundness to 35%. Create a new layer here. Let's go ahead and call this flares. Change the blend mode to vivid light. So if I move this up here, so you can see we can choose vivid light. And using this layer here, we can then use our brush to just add some flares to our text like so. And if we want to change the angle of our flare, just go to the angle option here, change it to 90 degrees, and then we can add some flares here like that. Or if we want to change the angle a little bit more like that, we can then add some flares here like so. Excellent. And then once you've done adding your flares, the next thing we want to do is we want to adjust the lighting and the coloring of our final result. So to do this, let's go ahead and create a new fill or adjustment layer here. And then we want to choose levels. Now under levels here, we want to change the highlight value to 245 just to brighten up the effect a little bit. And then next we want to choose a gradient map. So choose gradient map from the button down here. And then for the gradient, we want to go ahead and choose under CSP True Sky Gradients. We want to choose the gradient that looks like this. So this will be the CSP True Sky Sunset gradient here. So once you've found that, click OK. And then from there, we want to go ahead and change the blend mode to vivid light. And then the opacity, we can set it to 30% to enhance the coloring of the final result. So that's it for this video. Feel free to experiment with different colors, fonts, and gradients to make it your own. If you liked this video and would like to see more, go ahead and hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't already. And don't forget to hit the bell icon to be notified of any new and inspiring videos. If you're looking to learn even more, check out some of the other tutorials in this channel. Have fun, and I'll see you next time on Tuts Plus.